Now then, you beautiful people, we got called out to this leaking electric shower, which was leaking internally, but I never repair the showers, I just replace them. So I'm replacing it with this Triton Enrich. It's not a like-for-like swap. This customer wanted to go for a cheap and cheerful one. They didn't want to do a swap for the Myra Sport. It is what it is. It's proper plumbing at the end of the day. We can't always swap for a like-for-like. Some people just don't have the budget for it. However, on this one, the cold supply was at the wrong side, so we're going to have to elbow it over. So first of all, we do need to do our electrical checks. I do mine with a voltage stick and just checking it's working. So when it's on, it flashes and beeps, and then power off again. No light, no sound. This is the Top Tez. It's the same guys that make the gas sniffers. So we'll get this all disconnected, get the water off, and get that off the wall and ready to go for the new one. So whoever installed this previous shower had siliconed it to the wall, which to manufacturer's instructions says you shouldn't. It will void warranties. Why it voids the warranty, I don't know. I would prefer a seal at the back of it, but that's what the instruction says. So we'll give it a clean up with this OB1 multi-surface cleaner. It's great for taking silicone off, and this Neride utility knife with a scraper on it is perfect. It doesn't scratch the tiles. I've been asked about it many a times. You can get it from Plumber's Tools on TikTok, you can get it from ITS, you can get it from most plumbers merchants, to be honest. I got mine from Plum Call in Leeds. But yeah, anywhere that stocks Neride will sell this knife. I highly recommend it. So with that all cleaned off, we'll get the new one on the wall mat up. It did cover all the big hole where the pipe come through, where the tiles wasn't grouted. The only thing it didn't cover, like I said, was the screw hole at the bottom. It's not a perfect fit, but not all customers have the money spare to do a big job or spend a fortune on an emergency job like this. To do a straight swap for the Myra Sport would have been best part of £300. The shower itself for over £200, plus my labour on top. So this is proper plumbing. It's not the neatest. It's not singing or dancing. It's proper plumbing for real world, and yeah, like I said, people don't have that sort of money lying around sometimes. So what we're going to do is we're going to fill these gaps as much as we can with silicone, just to stop any water ingressing in there. However, I can't fill that big gap where the cable and pipe come through. I'm just have to leave that open. Luckily, it is at the other side from where the shower is, so it shouldn't get water ingress into it. So with the wiring, obviously the green and the yellow one is your earth cable. So it's an old wiring this, you can see it's not blue and brown. But how I remember this is the old saying of you're getting beaten black and blue. Black to blue for your neutral, and red to brown for your live. Just one way to remember it for apprentices mainly is that everyone's got their own ways. People do the R in red to the R in brown. But yeah, black and blue is how I always remember it. Just find the easiest way. So once that's all wired up, tucked to the side, we can get the water done. What we're going to do is just spin that elbow around, put a new compression elbow onto the bottom of the inlet, and Bob's your uncle. We'll get it tightened up, and we'll get the water back on. Should really have done that silicone at the bottom afterwards, because yeah, I rubbed my knuckles all over it, which made a right mess, but it's all getting covered up, so don't slag me off too much. It doesn't have to be neat, and like I said, it's proper plumbing, or bodge plumbing, as I probably get in the comments. So we'll get the water turned back on. This is the bit where you run back to the shower and make sure nothing's absolutely peeing out, and because you forgot to tighten up a fitting. Luckily it's a bungalow, this one, so it's alright. I don't have to run upstairs. So that's all on. The customers decided they want to reuse the old shower head and hose, which is entirely up to them. They said it's only a couple of weeks old and it looks a bit better than the one that comes with the shower. So what we do, before we put the front cover on, I always test it out because it's not pulled the water through. So once you pulled the water through, then you know everything is nice and tight inside. There's nothing leaking. Let's get that back off. We'll get the front, the bottom panel, which can be a bit fiddly sometimes, to go on. Once I found it, that just hooks around the back of the hose and clips off into place. Once that's on, we can get the front cover on in place. How I always do it is I put it on minimum as possible first, and then I make sure it goes all the way around, because however many times have you done it, put it on, and the temperature is in the wrong place and you have to take it all back off again. There was a little bit of silicone on the left hand side just to put in, but it is what it is. So yeah, another job done, another happy customer, and one that's not had to spend a fortune to repair the shower.
Right, so I've been called to this property and we've got a leak. An outside tap runs from where the boiler is there out all the way to the back of the house, but there's no other way of doing it. It's concrete floors, so yeah, got no much choice. Been doing it all the way around. Just replaced one already because that had come out completely. Turn the water back on and that's gone. So get the water back off and we'll crimp another one onto there, just like so. Right, so loosen this nut. I've turned the water back off, obviously. Try and get this out of here. I could have just tightened it back up, but it keeps popping every year, he's saying. So, and I think the pipe's a bit short. So we'll just take it off. I wasn't even tight on that. No wonder it popped off. Take that off, and then we've got, if I can find it in my pocket, not that, a slip coupler, so I can push it all the way down the pipe and then back on. What I'm going to do first, I'll show you on camera, if I measure it up there for centre roughly, and then with a marker pen I'm going to mark how far I need to push it on. So really need to get a chest mount for this camera, it's doing me head in. Roughly about there, I think. Yeah. And then roughly about there. So I'll just double check that. Yeah, that's right. So what we can do is push that all the way on, pull it back across. Pull it so it covers the line, which it has done. There we go. Rigid press gun, flip it over. Quickest presses on the market. 3.5 seconds. Easy as that. So that's all pressed. So get the water back on. Hopefully none of them compression fittings are burst either. If we might just replace them anyway. But yeah, it's a bit of a shit show, to be fair. Customer's going to lag it themselves. They want to lag it themselves. I said I could lag it for them, but they're going to do it themselves anyway. Ideally it wants as thick as possible, maybe even trace heating. So it's only to an outside tap, so if you put a bit of trace heating around it, maybe could potentially stop it from freezing in the winter. Get the water back on. Sounds a bit more promising. No water spraying out anywhere. Looking good. Tap is just there at the other side of there. So we'll shoot into the back garden and open that. But there's also one at the front, so we can open that just to make sure the water's back on. my opinion, quickest way to do this, to solve this, would be to cap it off, get an extra long hose pipe, run it all the way back as and when you need it. Left like they're going to freeze then. But yeah, nice little plumbing repair. I love little jobbing about jobs like that.
Right, so got called to this toilet which was passing, or should we say the button and the siphon were getting jammed every now and then. It was a bit of an intermittent thing. So we're going to swap it out for a Thomas Dudley. I could have just gone to the merchants and swapped for another ideal, but there's no point. I've got one in the van, might as well just swap it over for what it is. So water off, cistern off, replace the siphon. And while we're there, we'll probably replace the donut washer as well, because it's always good practice to replace the donut washer. So bolts off, easy enough, come off nice and hand tight. They're not rusted, which is always a bonus because I dread it when they're rusted, can be a nightmare. And then we've got to get the flexi off. I could use an adjustable spanner, but there's just not much room at back of there. So I've got these little tools from Dan Stokes, can't remember the name, and now I think called spinnies or something like that. And they just go over the flexi and go up to the 1/2 inch nut. You can get 3/4 versions, which are handy for bath taps, but yeah, they're just handy for just slackening off tight nuts, and then you can do the rest of it with your hand. So get the cistern out of place and empty that down the toilet. Yes, I could have got a wet back up, could have pumped it out, whatever, but I've not. Just lift it off and poured it down the toilet. Job done. Save me dragging a wet back upstairs. So we get the siphon out. It's not actually a siphon. So if you're an apprentice, can you tell me why this is not a siphon and is actually called a fill valve? What's the difference between a siphon and a fill valve? So we'll get the new one in. We have to put the larger washer. It comes with 2 washers just because the outlet's bigger, basically. So we get that in. No need for silicone in. Silicone is for titties, not for toilets. So if you're using silicone on toilets, you need to rot in hell. Always, like I said, change the donut washer, because there's no point putting it back on to find it leaking. So just replace it, might as well. And while we're there, we'll just check all the other nuts at the back of there, make sure they're tight, which actually on this one, there wasn't. So it could have been potentially leaking if we put it back into place. So it's always good practice just to make sure that everything else is tight as well. So yeah, just while I finish tightening these nuts off, don't forget to smash the like button and comment if you've got any questions, because they need the algorithm, and without you guys liking, commenting, the videos are getting pushed out, so make sure you do. So we'll get the system back in and get it tested out, water back on. So with that all filled up now, test it out. We'll just let a little bit of water through first, and then we'll do a full flush, and we're just looking at that line basically, and also at the back of the toilet, just to make sure no water is spilling out. That way we know the donut washer's okay and it's seated properly. So once you're happy that it's not leaking, you've checked underneath, checked at the front, checked at the back, checked at the side, checked everywhere that nothing's leaking, we can get the button made up onto the cistern lid, and we can check it out a good, I'd say 4 times at least, if not more. And if you're happy with that, tell the customer job's done and you want paying straight away. So yeah, another happy customer.